and welcome back. My name is India and I happen to read a lot, and today we're going to be talking about all the books that I read in September, which when I was at the beginning of September and I read like 3 books in 3 days, I felt unstoppable. I felt this was going to be the best reading month of the year, beating August, which at that point was the best reading month of the year, and then actually turns out I read 9. Which is fine. Overall, September was a really good month. I went on a really nice holiday. Check out my Cyprus vlog if you so wish. I went to a literary festival. Check out that vlog if you so well wish. I don't know, doesn't make any sense. But September was a really good, but also kind of tiring month. So I'm looking forward to getting into October, which is a bit spooky-ooky. I also have my TBR up at the moment. Just check out my channel, maybe subscribe, see how you feel. For those of you who don't know how I do my wrap-up videos, it's nothing new and exciting or fresh, but I do start off with my lower rated books and then work all the way up to my favourite book of the month. So yeah, please join me. This is going to be a fun, quick video wrapping up my September reads. So the first one on the list that I read is actually not part of this stack. I read Wuthering Heights by, forget which Bronte sister it is, sorry to the Bronte sisters. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I read this after the trailer came out for the movie and everyone was like, I can't believe Ruth Farrell's done this. I can't believe it. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, in order to be an informed hater, I need to read the book. And controversially, that film looks gorgeous. Maybe just do a period piece. Don't take Wuthering Heights, especially after having read it. Maybe that wasn't the book to choose, but the film looks gorgeous and I probably will watch it. For those of you who don't know, the classic that is Wuthering Heights, it's kind of hard to explain. Some guy buys a house not that far away from Wuthering Heights and one day gets the lowdown of the Lord of Wuthering Heights, and it's insane. Toxic cycles of abuse that lead to the downfall of this family, and it's about race and sexism and abuse and romance, I say with a squint. I read it knowing I'm not a massive classics fan. I don't read many classics, and if I do read classics, as this wrap-up will show you, I tend to read crime classics, and I'm very specific on language. There's just certain kinds of like language of certain time periods that my thick brain, it can't penetrate in there. It's not happening. I don't get what's going on. So I did Wikipedia the plot. I know, sacrilegious. Just so I could have an understanding of what was going on in the book. Some of the writing was really beautiful. I would say that I really enjoyed it up until the halfway point. And I don't want to spoil it, actually, for any non-Wuthering Heights readers. But I did, there's like a specific point with a specific character halfway through, and a lot of you are going to say, but that's really important for another character's development and who they are as a character. Don't care. Became way less interesting when one thing happened to a specific character halfway through. So I ultimately gave this 3 stars. Sorry, this is my 3-star books first. Actually, nothing below a 3-star, which I think is a complete success, because 3 stars don't mean bad. For me, 3 stars mean good, mid of the road. There were some good bits, there were some bad bits. That's what I preface my 3 stars being. Maybe one day I'll do a video about ratings, but that is not a time for that. While some of the dialogue was really intriguing and really interesting and very poetic, and I get why some of the girlies have been highlighting the shit out of those books for years, I wouldn't say it was like the best classic I've read. I've yet to find classics that aren't crime classics that I 100% love and enjoy. The closest I've gotten is Rebecca. Rebecca's probably the biggest non-crime classic, though there is a mystery in that I've loved the most. But yes, and I will now be watching the movie having been informed of the original works. And normally I'm a big fan of just watching the movie first and then reading the book, because if you read the book and then watch the movie, you're going to have a whole big disappointment, because the book's always going to be better than the movie. So I feel like if you watch the movie first, you get to enjoy the movie as is, and then when you read the book, you're like, whoa, this is way better than the movie. 2 enjoyable things. For example, that's how I was introduced to the Percy Jackson series, was through the movies, which still to this day are good movies. They're just not good Percy Jackson adaptations. But anyway, that's Wuthering Heights. Then I read Evil Under the Sun by Agatha Christie. This is the 23rd or 4th book that she's written for Hercule Poirot. That does include the short story collections. It confuses me. I read this. Oh my god, you can see how battered these are. Oh my god. Ooh. So I read this on holiday in Cyprus. If any of you have seen my TBR video for September, you will see the hilarity that is the fact that I realised that I was going to read Evil Under the Sun and not One Two Buckle My Shoe. I thought it was funny, hence why I kept it in there. But I was really excited to read this. I loved the Peter Ustinov movie. I ended up, after reading this, watching the Peter Ustinov movie again. It was great. Also watched the David Suchet adaptation, which I will say, what a way to... The colour grading on that, shit. I go to the Peter Ustinov one. Obviously, they've set it in a Mediterranean hotel resort rather than off the coast of Devon, which is what this is. But makes me want to go on holiday. The David Suchet one just looked depressing and stormy, which is not the vibe it's supposed to bring. So I will critique that on the Suchet adaptation. But for those of you who don't know, this follows Poirot, who goes to a resort on an island off the coast of Devon, and he solves the murder of the famous ex-theatre actress Arlena Stewart. It is done very well. I would say this was boring. I loved Poirot in this. I thought Poirot was a great character. I loved a lot of the side characters. But overall, is it maybe because I knew how it ended? Probably is what inhibited my enjoyment. But I just didn't vibe with this one this time around. It was fine. Like I said, solid 3-star. Some good bits and some bad bits. Did hate the fact that an incredibly strong businesswoman gives up everything for a man at the end of the book. Disgusting. But yeah, this was fine. So next up we have The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. This is a really weird one because it teeters between 3.5 and 4 very easily depending on how I feel during the day or what state of mind I'm in when I'm thinking back on this book. I also read this on holiday. This is the perfect summer rom-com if you just want to lose yourself in great travel writing, great food writing. I think it's a really great fun rom-com. And it's one of those ones where just have a great fucking time and read it and you are highly entertained, of which I was. They were kind of pretentious characters. You have a wine sommelier and then a up and coming pastry chef in Paris and their exes who break up just before they go on their European food and wine tour. They don't see each other for 4 years. And in the last month that they're able to use this ticket because they couldn't get it fully refunded, they both decide that's the best time to go. They bump into each other. They decide to prove that they're kind of over each other. They're going to have this hookup competition. That element is so much fun. There are so many great things about this book. I just really couldn't get behind the main characters as much. I'm sorry. And I will say, specifically Theo was giving being a Nepo baby, but trying to convince themselves that they're not a Nepo baby when it's just so much more easier if you just go, yeah, I'm a Nepo baby. Do you know what I mean? They're not only a Nepo baby, they're a Nepo sibling as well. And I think that's some of the things I struggled with it. While I think it was so much fun, and I did love the themes of learning to become who you are and kind of coming of age as an adult, all of those things I eat up. I love it. I think it's so good. Food writing, travel writing, everything was great. We spend most of this in Theo's point of view, and Theo's just causing the issues themselves. And I know that's something that they have to learn over the course of the book. But I was just a bit irritated, and I felt like if I was on a food and wine tour dealing with this person, I'd be a bit like, babes, you come from money. Just accept the nepotism, okay? All of us would love a bit of nepotism. Super fun. I would highly recommend if you want something super, super fun and super queer, I would highly, highly recommend that. Wholeheartedly. Then we have an unsuspecting one here. This is Verdict of 12 by Raymond Postgate. This is a very battered charity shop copy. This was what my wheel of whatever it is, my wheel of autumn reads decided for me. The wheel of fate decided for me. And I read this kind of during the literary festival with downtime moments. And the writing in this is so accessible. It's so incredibly engaging that I flew through it. It's split into 2 parts. The first part is learning about every single element of the members of the jury to kind of set up who they are as people, what they stand for, what their beliefs are. Incredibly entertaining, fun little quick biographies about them. And the second part follows the background of the case that they're going to be jurors on. And the case follows a young woman who, through a very complicated means, ends up becoming the guardian to a very precocious young boy who ends up dying. And the jurors have to decide whether this woman was guilty or not of murder. And when you get all the biographies of all these individual people and all of their personal experiences, it makes for a really, really interesting psychological discussion of what people view as self-defense, murder, means of gain, things like that. Incredibly interesting. I actually love the British Library crime classics. I think they're really, really good. I read another one. What was it called? Oh, what were you called? I'm trying to find. Before the Fact? I think that's what it was called. I'll put the cover up. That is one of the best psychological thrillers I've ever read in my entire life, and you should read it. If you love a good like court drama with a little bit of character psychology, 4 stars. And then I have the absolute joy of saying every single one of these books were 5 stars. I think this is the most 5 stars I've had in 1 month this year. Like that. No! Fuck. That is a lot of 5 stars for one person. So let's do them in the order of 5 stars. Because they're 5 stars, but there's also an order to the 5 stars. So first up is Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Volume 8. For those of you who have seen whatever, I can't remember what it was, I'll link it. But I did a wrap-up where I discussed Volume 7, and I was very disappointed, by Volume 7. I just was expecting a lot more. I kind of was excited. 2 characters were going on a date. I was like, this is fun, and I was bored. I was bored the entire time. It was the first time I think I'd ever given a Frieren volume below 4 stars. It was a shock to the system. So it was really good. That was very much a filler volume to make way for Volume 8, where we amped everything up a notch. Great character work, great lore. Looking forward to seeing what the rest of this kind of Northern Plateau arc has in store. Then we have The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 5. Kind of the same thing with Frieren. The last volume was kind of okay. I remember enjoying it, definitely enjoying it a lot more than Volume 7, but kind of not really feeling a massive like pull to pick up the next volume straight away. We've now kind of shifted in what's going on. I feel like we're in the next arc of the series, which is really, really good. We're going to a fresh new location. We've dropped in some more lore about especially this little girl here. I am thoroughly enjoying this. I own the entire series now, so I am umming and ahhing every once in a while. I'm like, I'm just going to read the whole thing. We'll see if I do that. But yeah, really, really good. Solid book here. Then we have a contender for another favourite all-time romance. This is Spiral by Khabra. This follows Sage. She is a ballerina that is trying to make it into the big leagues, and she tries to get an audition at this big Canadian theatre, and is basically told through the grapevine that the theatre is only considering auditions for very popular, well-known social media ballerinas just in order to guarantee butts and seats, right? And she is a woman who has like 80 followers. She doesn't really do social media that much. It's not really her thing. She's got a lot more shit going on than posting a couple of clips up on social media. So she's not having a great time. We then have, and I've forgotten his name, Elias. We also have Elias. Elias is the best friend of the male love interest from book 1. And Elias has just joined the Toronto Thunder. I feel like it should be Thundercats, Toronto Thunders, I don't know. But the Toronto Thunder hockey team. But is really, really struggling to get that first big goal. He's hit a wall. He doesn't know how to get past that. And alongside that, the press seem to be hounding in on his love life and making him out to be this big fuck off playboy, of which he isn't, and it's making him severely uncomfortable. These two run into each other at a charity gala and decide to basically pretend to date. One, so she can get all the kind of social media following and press that she needs to be considered to audition for the theatre, and one, so he can get the press off his back because he's now in a long-term relationship and they can't play this whole playboy thing anymore because he's no longer interesting. And then obviously, alongside that, they fall in love. And this is for romance authors across the board. Not everything has to end in a fucking marriage and kids. Listen, I love knowing that people have gotten married and starting families. I love it. When every single book ends in that, why can't it end with maybe an engagement? Why can't it end with they buy a house? Why does it have to be marriage and 3 children under the age of 3? Do you know what I mean? I don't want it anymore. I don't want to see it. Thank you. Then we have Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. A lot of you are going to say to me, India, this has been out for a very long time. This one has actually been out. Let's see. Let's make this worse for myself. Oh my God. He's written loads. Anyway, this has been out since 1995. 30 years. And have I only just got round to reading it? Yeah. I was a children's bookseller for ages. How did I not read? Anyway, besides the point. Finally got round to reading it. I both read it and audiobooked it through an audiobook on my library. I did the full cast version. It was very good. It was incredible. Really gets you into the whimsicalness. It does make me feel Christmassy, weirdly. It makes me feel whimsical. It makes me feel like when I was younger reading fantasy books. with a series that shall not be named. It gave me that vibe. And I loved it. I loved to experience it at 25, what I was experiencing at like 10. And then finally, my favourite book of the month. And this feels special to me specifically because it is The Killer Question by Janice Hallett. The 5th adult novel she's brought out. She's now bringing out children's books. The 5th adult novel she's brought out, set at a pub quiz, and it follows the landlords of The Case is Altered, a pub, who are trying to figure out how this random pub quiz team is cheating, and also who murdered this random man that they kicked out of the pub a couple of weeks ago. It's really good. What I really respect about Janice Hallett is she is like the queen of creating multiple different threads and painting this slow picture for you, and you have no idea how it's all going to come together, and then she just like rips the band-aid off and you're like, wow, here's the whole fucking painting. Incredible. That was a very weird metaphor that made no sense, but she's really, really good. Last year I read The Examiner by her, and it hit me hard because I did not love it as much as I'd hoped to. There was a lot of things I just didn't like the direction which the book was going, and I thought maybe this was it for Janice and me. Maybe our partnership was slowly falling apart. And I met her at the literary festival that I went to last week before, and she was so incredibly lovely and like just kind-hearted, and I was like, I desperately want to love this for Janice and this new best friend that we've created. She will literally forget who I am. But I was really excited to read it, but very nervous because now I knew that there was a chance that maybe I wasn't going to love this, which at that point, before reading The Examiner last year, I didn't think was a possibility. And I was a bit worried. It was a bit slow paced at first. She had a lot of things she needed to set up. And then the last 100 pages, incredible. Incredible work. Genuinely, she's a master at work. She's a master at work. Give her her flowers. She's so good at what she does. If you want a fun and exciting, fresh, never been done before crime set of books, because they're all standalones, just read her stuff. Just read her stuff. They're so good. So good. It's genuinely good, really worth your time, an incredible reading experience. I think I read this in like 3 days. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I've already started like 7 books today, which is the 1st of October, for October. So we might have a bigger wrap up for next month, who knows. But thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and all of that fun stuff. And let me know if you've read any of these or anything that you enjoyed reading in September. Thank you.